promoting dialogue.
It's 6 p.m. in Dakar and Accra, 7 p.m. in Abuja. Good evening and thank you for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and worldwide at wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Senegalese President Diomaye Faye arrives in Spain for a two-day state visit to revitalize economic cooperation. Nigeria and the European Union agreed to explore new areas of partnership.
We move forward with new projects in digital, agriculture, health, worth 66 million euros of grants.
Togo's National Assembly concludes its first extraordinary session with adoption of 4 bills, including one on the environment, and the Guinean government plans to introduce electronic payment systems to end liquidity crisis.
This will include initiatives through the Treasury, such as Trésor Pay. Beyond that, we will engage with various electronic money institutions.
Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
On the news, this is Abdullahi Hassan.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast. The Senegalese head of state today, Tuesday, arrived in Spain for a two-day visit. President Bassirou Diomaye Faye is set to meet King Philip VI and Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, with talks focused on strengthening economic cooperation between Dakar and Madrid. Discussions will also cover secular migration, a program that allows Senegalese workers to travel to Spain temporarily. Diomaye Faye's visit comes at a strategic time as Senegal seeks to boost job opportunities and attract more investment. Sankule Janko reports.
In Madrid, talks are expected to focus on the economy. Spain is currently one of Senegal's main trading partners behind China and France. President Bassirou Diomaye Faye is accompanied by Economy Minister Abdourahmane Sarr with a clear objective: to attract more investment. A business forum is scheduled for March 25, bringing together Spanish companies interested in the Senegalese market. Spain is also looking to strengthen its presence in Africa. Through its Africa Forward Alliance initiative launched in 2024, Madrid is encouraging its businesses to invest more on the continent. Already, nearly 70 Spanish companies are operating in Senegal. But beyond economic ties, migration will also be high on the agenda. A circular migration program allows Senegalese workers to travel to Spain each year for seasonal jobs, particularly in agriculture. The scheme offers legal opportunities that are in high demand among young people amid growing migration pressures. For 2025, the quota is set at 500 workers, a figure Senegal is hoping to increase. Between boosting investment and expanding legal migration pathways, this visit could deliver concrete benefits for Senegalese citizens.
A report by Sankule Janko. Still in Senegal, citizens and CSOs, government experts and political observers have been assessing President Bassirou Diomaye Faye's presidency after marking its second anniversary. From delayed promises to the rising cost of living and perceived political rift, opinions are mixed, with a splash of hope and optimism. Elected in 2024 on a wave of high expectations for change, Diomaye Faye is now being judged on his manifesto for the new Senegal project. Dr. Ibrahim Khan is a Senegalese governance expert.
2 years is too short, and also given the kind of promise that were made and the expectation of the Senegalese people, I think it's really too short to have a real assessment of what the president has done and has not done. We are not even at the half of his term. So I think it's just very difficult to really do a very good assessment. The only thing that I can say at this stage that despite the economic problem that we discovered, particularly last year, about the Senegalese debt, there are a number of initiatives that were taken that give you some hope that something will happen. Renegotiation of contracts, the fact that Senegal has redefined its relationship with France, the problem of Charoy, that we know more now about our own history during the colonial period. These are some of the few things that at least give you hope.
Dr. Ibrahim Khan, a Senegalese governance expert, joins us in the second half of the news.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
As a reminder, we stream live on wadr.org. The federal government of Nigeria and the European Union (EU) have agreed to strengthen relations across several sectors. The announcement was made by representatives of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister Yusuf Tuga, after a meeting with EU's High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy. WADR's Yeshini Sasetsu in Abuja reports.
The meeting brought together top government officials from both sides to explore opportunities for enhanced collaboration. Speaking at the talks, the EU's High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Kaya Kallas, highlighted the importance of deepening bilateral relations and strengthening cooperation between Nigeria and the European Union.
First, on security, Nigeria faces a dangerous rise in jihadist violence. Extremist groups like Boko Haram pose not only a threat to Nigeria, but also to the region. Nigeria is also a major partner on trade, investment, and green and digital transitions. The EU is Nigeria's main trading and investment partner. Over 200 European companies are operating here and creating 130,000 jobs. And today we move forward with new projects in digital, agriculture, health, worth 66 million euros of grants and 221 million euros in low-interest loans.
Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, also emphasized the country's commitment to building strong partnerships that will drive economic growth and stability.
So we're talking about green energy. So these are the sort of things, and there is a lot that is going on in the area of photovoltaics, solar, wind. The EU is already working with Nigeria on studies, on technical support, so that we're able to identify new areas where wind energy is possible.
They also examined ways to boost trade and investment between Nigeria and the European Union. For WADR, Yechini Sasitu in Abuja.
And now to parliamentary matters. The National Assembly in Togo has closed its first extraordinary session of 2026. The session was marked by the adoption of 4 draft laws focused on economic, financial, and environmental governance. More details with Imoredet.
Lawmakers in Togo have adopted a series of key reforms, including a revision of the framework law on the environment aimed at strengthening protection measures in response to climate changes and promoting sustainable resource management. They also approved the transfer of responsibilities, staff and assets from the Youth Economic Initiative Support Fund to the Agency for the Development of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises as part of efforts to streamline public support for entrepreneurship. On the financial front, 2 additional laws were passed, one regulating the microfinance sector and the other targeting counterfeit currency and offences against monetary instruments within the West African Monetary Union. All the texts were first adopted in an initial reading approved by the Senate and have now been definitively passed by the National Assembly in line with parliamentary procedures. Lawmakers are expected to reconvene in early April for the opening of the first ordinary session with several priority bills on the agenda, including reforms to promote inclusive education in 2026.
Imoredet reporting. In Benin, the main opposition party is undergoing a major shake-up following a wave of resignations in recent days. After a weekend meeting, Nurenu Achade was appointed as the new head of the party. The Democrats have also announced that they will not issue any voting instructions ahead of the upcoming presidential elections scheduled for April 12. The developments have quickly sparked reactions across the country. Let's now join Christopher Ticho for more.
The opposition Democrat Party received the resignation of its National Communications Secretary, Gay Mitokbe, over the weekend. His departure comes just weeks after the sudden exit of party leader Boni Yaye and his son, Chabi Yaye. Mitokpe says he left the party along with several other members, moves that are raising many questions. Some analysts believe the wave of resignation points to internal tensions. Political analyst Cosme Keke says the departures are significant, revealing deep strategic divisions within the party, particularly ahead of upcoming elections. Meanwhile, the election of Nurinu Ashade as the new party leader is being seen as a turning point that could revive the movement. His main challenge will be to restore unity and reposition the party on the national political stage.
A report by WADR's Aziz Adam Sule in Cotonou and voiced by Christopher Aticho. Crossing to Guinea, the liquidity crisis remains a major concern, forcing authorities to consider alternatives. The discussion involves economic operators and key players in the nation's financial sector. Among the measures being considered, the Central Bank of Guinea plans to inject a significant amount of cash into circulation. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Economy and Finance is promoting the digital payment platforms to ease pressure on fiscal cash. Usman Omar has the rest of the details.
New talks are underway to address the liquidity crisis that has persisted for several weeks, raising growing concern among consumers. To tackle the situation, the governor of the Central Bank of Guinea, Karamo Nabi, has announced plans to inject a significant volume of banknotes into circulation.
Out of every 100 banknotes we put into circulation today, only 6 come back. That's the reality we need to understand. There is a real effort to inject cash, and we will continue to do so. But we also need to work on getting money back into the system. That requires restoring trust. The goal is to rebuild confidence among Guineans so they deposit their money in banks. Ultimately, there is no way around banking.
Another solution being considered is the digitalization of the payment system. The Minister of the Economy and Finance, Mariama Sire Saila, says the move aims to reduce the heavy reliance on cash and promote electronic transactions.
At the state level, we will also work to accelerate the digitization of payment systems and modernize the way people pay. This will include initiatives through the Treasury, such as Trezor Pay. Beyond that, we will engage with various electronic money institutions in discussions to facilitate and speed up the adoption of new technologies and digital payments among the population.
Meanwhile, the National Chamber of Commerce has pledged to raise awareness among economic operators, urging them to stop hoarding cash and to work more closely with commercial banks to improve money circulation in the economy.
Usman Omar with that report filed in by our Conakry correspondent, Cheno Alpha Ibrahim Balde. And just before the break, let's take you to Liberia, where the education system is facing disruption as hundreds of volunteer teachers stage a go-slow protest over the sudden suspension of their salaries. The action is affecting core lessons for thousands of students in 26 schools across Monserrado County, putting the academic year at risk. The dispute highlights deeper concerns over employment verification and accountability within the system. From Monrovia, Abraham Parker reports.
The unrest still centers on accusations against the superintendent of the Monrovia Consolidated School System, who allegedly communicated with the Civil Service Agency to label 251 teachers as ghost workers, resulting in the immediate blockade of their salaries. In a heated exchange, the accused superintendent, Ogori Stevens, defended the administration's actions by citing a lack of proper documentation, arguing that the teachers lacked the necessary employment letters required for legitimate payroll entry.
The letter that they've been giving the staff here has not been functional. We need to write a letter that will indicate their salaries, their benefits, their taxes, the way it's structured here. It might seem funny to everybody, it's funny to me.
However, the president of the Teachers Union, Augustine Yume, representing the aggrieved educators of the MCSS, rejected these claims, labeling the ghost worker designation a fabrication.
51 of our teachers who were placed in payroll initially by some of our colleagues who were very far and they were not captured. We've been demanding that they be captured. Since October of last year, the CSA has sent communication to the MCSF hierarchy to give our employment letter. Up to current as we speak, we are not getting our employment letter.
The situation remains tense as the teachers have vowed to continue their protest until their demands for salary restoration and transparent verification processes are met. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
You are listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and online at wadr.org. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Senegalese President Diomaye Faye arrives in Spain for a two-day state visit to revitalize economic cooperation. Nigeria and the European Union agreed to explore new areas of partnership. Togo's National Assembly concludes its first extraordinary session with adoption of 4 bills, including one on the environment. The Guinean government plans to introduce electronic payment systems to end liquidity crisis. Still adding the news, a regional conference on West Africa's carbon market gets underway in Banjul, the Gambian capital. We also have the guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Many thanks for staying with us. The Gambia is hosting a high-level regional meeting to accelerate the development of carbon markets across West Africa. The 3-day event brings together delegates from 16 countries, along with experts and development partners, to discuss the region's readiness to engage in global carbon market. Organized by the Ministry of Environment in partnership with the West African Alliance on Carbon Market and Climate Finance, the conference runs until March 25, 2026. From Banjul, Sandana Mendy reports.
The gathering convenes representatives from 16 North African countries and key partners, marking a crucial step towards enhancing the region's role in global carbon markets and climate finance. Speaking at the official opening, the Minister of Environment and Natural Resources, Rohi John Manjang, underscores the importance of carbon markets as a tool for tackling climate change while supporting sustainable development and economic growth in the region.
From coastal erosions to droughts and flooding, our countries are on the forefront, yet we contribute the least to global emission. This imbalance is unfortunate and should motivate our collaborative efforts in international negotiations and also interest building towards solutions.
Convened in the context of post-COP30 developments and growing global momentum around international carbon cooperation mechanisms, the event reflects a shared commitment among West African countries to strengthen regional coordination and position the region as a credible and proactive actor in global carbon markets. Osman Falsar is coordinator of the West African Alliance.
Today, this initiative is growing beyond West Africa and is inspiring as a region, gaining recognition and contributing to shaping Africa's voice in global carbon markets.
Meanwhile, discussions in the coming days are expected to address key challenges and opportunities in implementing Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, which provides a framework for countries to collaborate in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I'm Sangdana Mendy, reporting from Banjul.
Politics,
analyses on major news,
social matters, and all. This is a guest.
Our guest this evening is Dr. Ibrahim Khan, a Senegalese governance expert. Khan provides a critical assessment of President Bassirou Diomaye Faye's leadership, governance, and rebuilding trajectory as he marks 2 years in office. Diomaye Faye was elected in 2024 after promising swift transformative reforms to address immediate challenges citizens face, such as the increasing cost of living, unemployment, and alleged corruption, among others. But how far has it gone in delivering the deliverables, with debate suggesting a rather slow pace of work?
Definitely, they are very slow. For me, it's the reality that we are living. But why we are very slow? I think one of the reasons we are very slow is that nobody knew the exact economic situation of Senegal. That's one. Now we're discovering that our debt is more than 150% of our GDP. Any government who lives in that condition will have a serious problem. The second issue to me is that so far there is no real plan about the transformation. Any transformation will start by the transformation of the structure of the state. We had 3 important meetings about the reforms: reform of the political institution, reform of the justice system, and reform of our education system. The president last December, at the end of the year, promised that before March, the parliament will start examining some of the bills that they will put forward about constitutional reform and other stuff. We are at the end of March. Nothing has happened.
So, sir, where are we at this juncture? Because across other platforms, the debate has been either the lack of inexperience on both sides or the fact that there is a growing conflict of interest that is further widening the gap in terms of coordination within the executive and especially the legislature.
I think it's deeper than that. When they came to power, they made a big announcement about the strategy Senegal 2050. But we have not seen any document. When I say a document that can give you even the cost of all the transformation that will be happening. And we can understand why they are struggling, because when PASTEF started to develop all these strategies, they were fighting also with Macky Sall. Most of the leadership were in jail, and the organization was even dissolved by the then government. So I think that can be understood. But now the problem is they are in power. They have to find a way of trying to deal with all these issues.
For how long do you think the population would endure and understand and perhaps remain hopeful for a change to come, or otherwise, who knows, call for a change?
It's a very difficult question to answer given the reality of Senegal at the moment. The country, we have a lot of poor people. And those poor people elected this generation to sort out their problem. And so far, nothing has been sorted out. And I think we will reach a level where people are fed up with the current situation and people will decide to have another generation of leaders. That's one thing. The second one is that we are in the context, regional context, now global context of insecurity. And what will be the impact of that global or regional insecurity situation on the problem that we are facing in Senegal? Nobody knows. Take the Sahel situation. People now at the border with Senegal and Mali. So we need to find another approach. And I think for me, our political class is really very clever. They need to come up with a kind of consensus on what needs to be done for the country for this for the next 10 years. Is it education? Is it health? Is it infrastructure? Is it digitalization of the state? All these issues are important. But if we don't have consensus in the society about the way forward, we won't be able to take any step. And my last point is we need to stop this fight at the highest level of the state. For me, it's no longer about power. It's about resolving people's problems.
Well, that was the interview with Ibrahim Akan, a Senegalese governance expert. Now, in the sporting world, Nigeria international Alex Iwobi has been recognized on the 2025 football blacklist for his outstanding contributions off the pitch, highlighting his growing influence beyond football. The Fulham midfielder is being celebrated for his community-driven initiatives, including football tournaments, mentorship programs, and support projects aimed at empowering underserved communities. UOB joins a distinguished group honored for using their platform to drive positive change. Among them is Eberiche Eze, recognized for his foundation supporting youth development through education and sport, and England defender Jess Carter, praised for advocacy against racism and push for accountability in the game. Meanwhile, Côte d'Ivoire is looking to replicate Senegal's successful team model as it plans the future of its national team. Senegal's recent victory at the Africa Cup of Nations has been credited to a strong balance between experienced players and emerging talent, a formula now drawing admiration across the continent. President of the Ivorian Football Federation, Idriss Diallo, says this is exactly what his country has been lacking. He noted that blending youth with experience was key to Senegal's success and signaled that Côte d'Ivoire could adopt a similar approach. The move comes amid discussions about rebuilding the Elephants squad ahead of major competitions including the FIFA World Cup, with a focus on a gradual and controlled transition. And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Ismaila Kamara and Maujo Juf for the technical support. Do interact with us via social media platforms X, Instagram, and Facebook at WADR English. Also stream live at wadr.org. I'm Abdullahi Hassan. Good evening.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Niba County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Radio Gulf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria, and Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.